Goddess Kring. Remember, this is free. Notes are printed on both sides. This is free. Honey. Just be, honey. Just be. Goddess Kring. ShannonKringen.com. GoddessKring@hotmail.com. P.O. Box 20610, Seattle 98102, United States of America. Land of the free, home of the brave. Challenge. I don't like to fight against. Fighting against something only causes it to fight back. Recently, I had some controversies surrounding the revealing of my feminine flower. I shared my flower. If you don't mind the discussion, the word vagina. Don't worry, this evening I will not be showing that. It's considered sexually explicit to show the body part, the vagina. The female flower, the fertile part of a woman's body where she gives birth. The origin of life. The conception of a child where the mother gives birth through her body. Covered. Parts covered, okay? Human body form. This is my public apology for upsetting people by showing my female flower. I think it's sad that we live in a culture where violence is shown on television, on primetime television shows. Violence is shown as part of normal entertainment, yet sensuality, nudity, sexuality is considered dangerous for children to watch, dangerous for children to be exposed to the natural human form. I know that my words are not going to change any conservative people's minds about these issues. I realize that. I have sensitivity for where you're coming from, but I don't agree. But I am a peaceful person and willing to follow the guidelines and the structures and the rules and the standards of the status quo society. So this is my apology to those of you out there who I offended and upset and scared with my sexually explicit revealing of my flower. In my opinion, it was not sexually explicit. In my opinion, it was merely showing a form of anatomy and putting the question out there. But I realize it's my responsibility as a human being that's sharing in a public way my creative ideas. I realize that I have a responsibility to have sensitivity and empathy for how I affect other people with my work. And right now I'm feeling very self-conscious. I am an artist. The name Mapplethorpe comes to mind, the photographer that challenged people with his photographic images. Although his work kind of was sexual, I think. But then again, that's a question as well. What is sexual? And what is the danger in sexuality? What is dangerous about sexuality? What is dangerous about children seeing the naked human form? Renaissance art, For a living, I model nude for art classes. People draw me, paint me, and sculpt me, and photograph me. The body is merely shapes and curves. Maybe you think I'm naive for saying this. There's a lot of violent people in the world, you might think. Why? Are people afraid of the human body? I don't have all the answers. I'm not perfect. I'm an artist, and one of my missions in life is to question reality. Question the status quo. Question what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. Question. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Shannon Kringen, and you're watching Goddess Kring. I'm on the same time every week. And I want to say one thing. I've been doing cable access since 1995. And I know that people used to complain about the nudity that I have on my show a lot when I first started doing it. And I want you to know that I do care about how I affect other people, and my intention is not to upset people. And I know that I have to take into consideration that a lot of people have trouble with nudity and think that it's somehow shameful or dangerous or frightening or unsuitable for children. And I don't agree with that. But I'm not in charge of making the rules. I know that love and compassion and empathy are more important to me than whether or not I'm nude. One thing is that a lot of people recently have complained about me, and I accept that and I understand that, but I realize that a lot of people appreciate what I do and like what I do, and so I want to ask you, anyone watching out there who likes my art and likes what I do, now I'm totally serious, if you would please send a letter to the Cable Access Studio in Seattle, just saying why you like my show, what you think it contributes to the arts in Seattle. Their address is Northwest Access and Production Center, 1125 North 98th Street. That's 1125 North 98th Street, Seattle, Washington, 98103. If you would just mail something saying why you like Shannon Kringen, Goddess Kring, why you like my show as an artistic expression of freedom. Freedom and embracing grace, moonshone face. Since 1995, I've done cable access television. Nudity is one of the facets I choose to share sometimes. Most of the attention I have received is due to the fact that I'm nude. I wish not to offend anyone, but to get people's attention to issues of repression, censorship, fear of trusting nature, and shame associated with not having the perfect 10 body. This show has been digitized to hide my obscene sexual body parts. Why be in fear of your flesh and your skin? I act as a mirror for you. What do you see in this mirror? Who are you and who am I? I'm sorry to the people that I upset with my nudity. That's not my intention. I don't have all the answers. I still think it's sad that nudity is considered dangerous to children, yet violence is considered normal. Entertainment. We have shows on TV about people killing each other, murdering each other. I've seen primetime news stories that I find more disturbing and offensive than the naked human form. Talk shows where people yell at each other. That one very popular show, Jerry Springer, I don't even want to say the name. That's not a show that I like. When I see that show, my stomach hurts within 5 seconds. To me, that scares me. But then again, nobody's going to agree, not everybody's going to agree on what is suitable for children and what is not. Violence to me is far more destructive and frightening and harmful to children than nudity. Not that I think children should watch porno, but I don't consider what I do pornographic. But I want to know that I want to let people know that I do not believe in fighting against. I think, just like the WTO, I think people that go around and try to fight against conservative people, then the conservative people just fight back. I'm not a conservative person, but I do have compassion and sympathy and empathy for people who are conservative, although, I don't know, I think a lot of real liberal people are kind of paranoid, and they think that corporate America is trying to take over, and they think that we're all being brainwashed, and we don't have any freedom, and we're all being tricked, and blah, 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 and I think that's a little bit paranoid. I think we all have freedom in what we choose to buy, and what we choose to sell, and what we choose to do. Those of us producers of cable access television, I'm very much grateful that I'm able to do a show, and what's the most important thing to me is the ability I have to share on television. The freedom I have to express myself. The nudity that I share on my show is not the point. That's not the main issue. The main point of my show, and I use nudity as a metaphor for being honest. When I'm physically nude, I feel like I'm being honest and truthful about who I am as a human being. A woman with natural body hair, a woman who's not skinny, a woman who models for art classes, a woman who is celebrating her curves, a woman who is 5'9" and 185 pounds and chooses to call herself Goddess Kring. That is part of my message, and the fact that I'm nude is merely a metaphor for the fact that I am emotionally and intellectually naked as well. I'm not going to pretend like I have all the answers. In some ways, I'm extremely insecure and have low self-esteem. In other ways, I'm extremely confident. And in some ways, I'm narcissistic. I like to look at myself on the television screen. There's problems in my family. There's people in my family that do not speak to one another. Emotions in my family. My mother and father I love very much, but there are certain issues in my family between my grandparents and me and various other family members in my family where emotions are not talked about. In fact, recently I sent a video to my grandmother in California, and she's afraid to watch it because she's afraid it might be too intense and it might be too emotional. I don't want to go into the personal specifics of it, but that's just an indication to show you. Part of the reason why I express myself through video is because I feel like healing needs to occur. I feel like I need to share in an honest way, thus encouraging whoever you are watching me to feel free to express your true, authentic self and share it. I think in my family, I was taught to feel ashamed of my natural expression. Perhaps I'm setting myself up by being on TV, by expressing myself in this way with fake money and props and theatrical things. Perhaps I'm setting myself up to be judged and to be criticized, and people think I'm crazy, or people have all kinds of opinions about what I do, and I need to just disregard that, have some compassion and sensitivity to how I affect other people, but mainly stay focused and centered on what I'm trying to say as a woman and as a human being on planet Earth. It's just a toy. It's not a phallic symbol. It's just a toy. Okay? Okay. So, I also want to apologize to all the other cable access producers because I've created some controversy, and I'm sorry, my intention is not to screw it up for everybody else. But also I want to stand up for my rights as a human being, as an artist, as someone who wants to express themselves. But I also have sensitivity, and I'm willing to abide by all the rules, okay, of doing cable access, and I am a reasonable person and a peaceful person, and I don't want to fight against anything. I think fighting for peace is like having sex for virginity, which is a contradiction. That's why I didn't march in the WTO protests, because I think the power lies within what I choose to buy. What corporations I choose to support is the way that I wish to use my political power, as opposed to trying to fight against, trying to block traffic and fight against something. Although it did bring a lot of publicity to the issues, and that's a good thing. And I also want to apologize to some of the producers who've invited me to come on their shows. I'm sorry, I'm a loner. I like my space. I like to do my own thing. I'm a solo artist at heart. I like to write poetry and record it. And I'm very self-conscious right now. My boyfriend and I are talking about getting married, and I'm happy about that. I feel very self-conscious. Being criticized is kind of a difficult situation to be in, because I feel a little bit like I need to censor myself, and that kind of scares me. It's like, where do you draw the line between me wanting to use my freedom and me wanting to take into consideration that I upset people with my expression sometimes, and that kind of strikes a chord in me too with my family. I guess nudity is the main thing. I guess people really aren't upset about what I talk about as much as they're upset about nudity. Although sometimes I talk about suicide and depression. Just the other night I was feeling suicidal. I never act on it, but part of what keeps me from ever trying to kill myself is me going to that dark place and expressing, crying, and expressing my anger and my fear and my frustration, and expressing all the negative darkness. You know, I talked to my mom and my boyfriend about it. I used to be in therapy. I'm not in therapy anymore. I'm a very sensitive, emotional person, and that creates a lot of challenges for me in this world. There's lots of aggressive people out there. My artwork is the boldest thing that I do. In my real life, I spend a lot of time to myself. I have one boyfriend that I'm monogamous with. I don't really have hardly any close friends, and that's kind of by choice. I'm very focused on doing my art and growing and healing, and I don't sense a lot of support from other people. I know a lot of people have reached out to me and tried to be my friend, but I'm really not very good at becoming friends with people, and I'm really not very social. I'm not even sure if I really want that many friends. My boyfriend and I are extremely close. He's my best friend. My mom and I are extremely close. She is my other best friend. My dad and I are close. We have some issues that we're working on, and I hope that we can resolve them. That's a little bit painful right now with my father. I love him very much. It's a little bit painful. There's lots of stuff going on in my family right now. Thank you so much to everyone who's emailed me and written me at my P.O. box. I really appreciate it. Once again, you can write to Cable Access Studio. The address will flash on the screen. It would be wonderful to receive letters of support from intelligent people who like my show and don't just see it as some naked show that's about sex. I realize some people think certain judgmental thoughts about my show as being mainly a sexual thing. I realize that a lot of men watch me and enjoy me in a sexual way, but I also think that we need to tame the shame on that. I think sexuality is natural. The human body is natural, and I don't understand why we're so afraid of it, but I also don't want my whole mission in life to be about trying to change people's minds about nudity, because I don't want that to be my mission. I guess I kind of take it for granted too, because I model nude for art classes, and so I'm around a lot of artists, and to them it's like completely normal. It's not a sexual thing to draw or paint or sculpt a model that's, lying on a stand or standing, posing in classical Renaissance type poses, completely nude, male and female models. And it's been done for centuries. Artists draw and paint and sculpt and photograph nude models. And it's a timeless art. And sensuality is part of life. Body, mind, spirit, heart, soul, brain, mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, sexual. It's all part of being a human being on this earth. So why do we feel like we have to hide it? Or only have it on super, super, super duper late at night? But I am saying that I am a peaceful person. I'm just expressing my opinions about these issues. What do you think? It also upsets me when religious people write me and think that I'm not into Jesus. I'm not a religious person, but I am very spiritual, and I think Jesus had a lot of wonderful things to say. Although I think a lot of people that call themselves Christians are misinterpreting when Jesus said, "The way to God is through me." I don't think he literally meant through physically Jesus's heart. I think he meant through the purity of your heart, through love and compassion and empathy and being true and honest about your feelings, taking responsibility for how you affect. I need to take responsibility for how the show that I aired recently with a close-up of my vagina, it upset a lot of people. And I need to take responsibility for, hey, I chose to put that on the air. I knew it was a risk. To me, it wasn't sexually explicit, but to some people, they thought, ooh, that's sexual. She's breaking the rules. To me, it wasn't sexual. But I realized some people think it was, so that's something I'm not supposed to do, And I accept that. But I think it's sad that we live in a culture that thinks looking at a woman's vagina is like dangerous and pornographic. I don't agree. But that's my opinion. And you're entitled to your opinion. If you disagree with me, you're entitled and you are valid. Freedom, 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 freedom. I don't know why I'm wearing gloves. I just felt like putting gloves on. It's sort of like you gotta cover up yourself. You gotta it's like a clinical, gynecological kind of thing. So this is a flower. It's kind of, I feel really kind of self-conscious because I think it's easier to do this show when I think nobody's watching. As soon as I find out for sure that people are watching, it really, really freaks me out because then I feel like, oh my God, I better not say that. Oh God, I better not say that. Ooh, if I say that, it might upset someone. Ooh, it might upset someone if I say the word vagina, or it might upset someone if I say anything about sex. Oh, I better not talk about sex, whatever. Okay, I'm sorry. So, if you're a conservative person and you're upset with me, could you please have some compassion for where I am coming from? Okay, I don't want to argue. I don't want to fight. I want to find the harmony in the situation, resolving issues, following the rules in the handbook, and doing the shows with integrity and with maturity. I'm scared. I don't want to be a chicken. Being criticized is not much fun. It kind of scares me. Conservative people scare me. I have to be honest, because I thought maybe I shouldn't say anything about this, but conservative people really do scare me. But love is the answer. Because I think at the heart of being conservative is fear. I think when people are really conservative and they're against nudity and they're against anything that's liberal, against marijuana, I personally don't like smoking marijuana, but I think it should be legal. It's just a plant. It doesn't kill people. It's far less dangerous than cigarettes and alcohol, which are legal in this country. But I think what's at the heart of being conservative is fear. People that are conservative are afraid of losing control. Therefore, when they see someone who's liberal, who's naked on TV, or who smokes marijuana, or who, who is real free and open and seems to like trust, and you're like, ooh, they're conservative people think, ooh, that person is really naive for being so liberal. Like, ooh, they're naive, because the world, someone's going to get them because the world is not so nice and innocent. But what you focus on, you attract. So if you focus on how dangerous the world is, you'll probably attract more danger to you. So I think having compassion for people that are conservative is probably the best thing to do. Artists have been drawing and painting nude people for centuries, and it's beautiful and I love it. But I know I can't change everybody else's mind about that. What do you think? Write me and tell me. My name is Shannon Kringen, and you've been watching Goddess Kring. Feel free to write me with questions or comments. You can check out my website, shannonkringen.com. You can email me, goddesskring@hotmail.com. You can write me, P.O. Box 20610, Seattle, Washington, 98102. I'm on the same time every week. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and if you like my work, feel free to write the Cable Access Studio. Their address flashes on the screen periodically. Write them with letters of support about my work if you like what I do, and they will put it on file. I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone out there who likes what I do. I'm a little bit nervous right now. I feel extra self-conscious. I don't want to upset anyone. I just want to use my freedom in the way that I can, in a way that's ethical and fair to everyone involved. And I like to challenge the status quo, but I don't want to hurt anyone. And my intention is not to upset people, but it is to challenge people's views of the status quo. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week. Namaste.